You're just the wallet. Nobody in this family ever saw you as one of us. Ever felt like your worth was measured only by what you paid for? Then this story is yours. They never asked how I was doing, only when I'd transferred the next payment. Ashley's birthday fell on a Thursday this year, but the celebration had been moved to Sunday to suit everyone else's schedule. As always, the Walker home was spotless, the table perfectly set, candles flickering like a photo shoot prop. My mother had arranged pink tulips in a glass vase because they're Ashley's favorite. I didn't remind her they used to be mine. Ashley twirled in her chair like she was still 5. "I can't believe it's real," she squealed, holding the delicate white gold necklace between 2 manicured fingers. "Is this the Cartier one?" My father beamed, slipping an arm around Mom. "Of course, only the best for our girl." She kissed both of them in turn. "I love you guys so much." I sat at the end of the table, a quiet smile frozen in place, watching a moment I'd financed but wasn't invited into. I'd purchased the necklace a month earlier, wrapped it myself, handed it to Mom in the hallway so she could take credit. "Let her feel special," she'd said. "Jenna," Dad said casually, turning to me, "you still working for that fintech startup?" "Still in tech finance, yeah." He nodded, uninterested. "Hope you're saving. That industry's up and down." Ashley chimed in. "She's fine, Dad. Jenna's got her money together. She always pays for stuff without blinking." I laughed softly, setting down my water. "Blinking's a luxury." No one noticed the edge in my voice. No one ever did. Dinner continued. Ashley relayed stories about her professors, her roommate's kitten, the guy she liked in psych class who couldn't tell Freud from Frodo. Laughter followed her everywhere. It always had. I found myself checking my phone under the table, refreshing the tuition portal for her upcoming semester. Payment due today. Still pending. I sighed, opened my banking app, and completed the transfer. $8,000 for the necklace, $3,200 for tuition, a few hundred more for auto insurance and Ashley's new data plan. This month's running total ticked past $11,000. Quietly. Automatically. The only gift I received that evening was a self-help book on emotional resilience. A suggestion, really. "You should read it when work gets stressful," Mom said, passing it with 2 fingers like it might stain her. Ashley leaned across the table. "It's a great book. My therapist swears by it." I nodded, placing it beside my plate. "Thank you." The conversation turned to Ashley's upcoming study abroad program. She was deciding between Paris and Milan, trying to determine which city had better vibes. Mom assured her we'd figure out the money. Dad nodded solemnly, as if participating in some noble sacrifice. I said nothing. What would have been the point? Ashley laughed while browsing iPhone colors on her screen. "The gold one's so pretty, but the violet might match more outfits." "I still think the Pro is a better deal," Dad advised. It was like I wasn't even there. As I reached for my phone again, Ashley looked up suddenly. Our eyes met across the flickering candle. Her gaze was sharp, just for a second, like she knew. Like she saw the moment I realized the balance in my account. The calculation, the subtraction, the growing void. She smiled. As I closed my banking app, I realized I had just $1,827 left. And not one person at that table knew or cared. They never asked how I was doing, only when I transferred the next payment. Ashley's birthday fell on a Thursday this year, but the celebration had been moved to Sunday, so the whole family could attend. Translation. So it could be easier on Ashley. Always Ashley. The Walker home looked just like the last time I visited. Neat, pastel-toned, scented with vanilla candles and artificial calm. There were matching napkins at every place setting and Ashley's face framed in silver on the mantel. Again. New photo. Pink tulips, her favorite, had been arranged into tight bouquets by Mom. I had loved tulips first, but that memory had been overwritten years ago. Like so many others. The necklace came out before dessert. I watched Ashley's eyes widen, her mouth forming a perfect little O. I can't believe it's real, she gasped. Is this Cartier? Dad chuckled proudly, nudging Mom. Of course, we wanted to show you how proud we are. Ashley jumped up and wrapped her arms around both of them, squealing, You're the best parents ever. I sat 3 seats away, quietly sipping lukewarm lemonade. No one looked my way. No one said a word about who'd actually paid for it. I'd bought the necklace online 3 weeks ago after triple-checking the shipping window. I even wrapped it in their tissue paper and handed it off to Mom in the driveway. She'd barely said thanks. Let her think it's from us, she'd whispered. She'll feel more special. I wasn't invited into the memory. I was the one who paid for it. Ashley shouldn't worry about money. She's too fragile for stress, Mom used to say. I wonder who decided I wasn't. Jenna, Dad said casually, breaking my thoughts. You still working with that fintech? What do you call it, startup? Still in finance, yeah. He nodded, uninterested. Just be careful. That industry's all over the place. Ashley chimed in before I could answer. She's fine, Dad. Jenna's always got her money sorted. She pays for everything like it's nothing. Everyone laughed except me. Blinking's a luxury, I murmured. No one noticed. No one ever did. Dinner continued. Ashley gushed about her professors, a sorority event, a stray cat that visited their dorm window. Laughter trailed after every sentence. I opened my phone under the table, checked the university portal. Payment due. Today. Still pending. I sighed and transferred the funds. $8,000 for the necklace. $3,200 for tuition. Auto insurance, health copay, data plan, meal stipends. The monthly total was creeping toward $12,000. I didn't keep track anymore. I had a spreadsheet, color-coded, hidden in a folder titled Utilities. As everyone reached for second helpings of cake, Mom handed me a small, thin parcel. It was a book. The Art of Emotional Resilience. I thought you'd like it, she said, avoiding my gaze. It's a good read when things get overwhelming. Ashley leaned over. My therapist swears by it. I nodded and smiled, placing it next to my untouched plate. Conversation turned to Ashley's semester abroad. She was choosing between Paris and Milan, unsure which city had better vibes. We'll make it work, Mom said. We always do, Dad added with a glance toward me. Ashley giggled while scrolling through iPhone options. I think I want the Violet Pro, but maybe gold? I can't decide. I still think the Pro's a better deal, Dad replied thoughtfully. It was like I didn't exist. The candlelight flickered across the silverware. I picked up my phone again, refreshed my bank app. Balance, $1,827.16. My fingers hovered. I took a breath. Ashley looked up. For a split second, our eyes locked. Her smile changed, softened, narrowed, not sweet. Knowing, like she understood exactly what had just occurred on my screen. Like she'd been waiting for it. She smirked. As I closed my banking app, I realized I had just $1,827 left, and not one person at that table knew or cared. Someone took my necklace. Ashley shrieked. Only Jenna was in my room today. I looked up from my dinner plate. Fork paused midair. The room went silent so quickly, even the clock ticking on the wall felt like a drumbeat. Mom gasped. What do you mean, honey? Ashley clutched her chest, blinking rapidly. It was in the little velvet box on my dresser this morning. I saw it before brunch. Now it's gone. I waited. Surely she'd remember the cleaner came Tuesday, or that she'd had friends over last night. But then her gaze landed on me, slowly, intentionally. I didn't go out today, she said, voice lilting. And the only one who stopped by was Jenna, right? Dad's eyes sharpened. You went upstairs? I dropped off the documents for Ashley's FAFSA. You asked me to, I said, tone steady. I didn't touch anything else. Ashley blinked, her face tilting into a delicate expression of mock confusion. You were near the dresser, though. Only to put the papers down. No one moved. My mother's wineglass trembled slightly in her hand. I could feel heat prickling beneath my skin, but I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of watching me flush. I'm sure it's a mistake, I said. Maybe it slipped somewhere. Ashley pouted. I already checked. I just find it strange. Dad, maybe we should check Jenna's car, just to be sure? My breath caught. What exactly are you implying? I asked. No one's implying anything, Dad replied, voice calm, measured, heavy. Let's just rule things out. I'm not comfortable with that, I said, heart pounding. You think I stole it? No one's accusing anyone, he insisted, but the words felt hollow. Mom said nothing. Her gaze drifted toward the tulips wilting on the edge of the kitchen counter. I want to leave, I said. Then let's check first. Then you can go. I swallowed hard. Silence. Then I stood up, grabbed my keys, and headed to the driveway. Dad followed. His shoes clicked against the tiles, deliberate and final. The sun had dipped behind the trees. Our shadows stretched across the gravel. The moment I unlocked the car, Dad opened the passenger door and reached under the seat. It was there, the black velvet box sitting just out of sight. My jaw clenched. I hadn't touched that necklace since I ordered it. I hadn't even held it directly, only paid and delivered. I hadn't put it under the seat. I turned to him. That wasn't me. He opened the box. The necklace glittered, soft and golden. I don't want a scene, he said, eyes flat. We'll talk once you admit it. I stood frozen. Every noise, crickets in the hedge, the hum of a neighbor's lawn sprinkler, rang louder than reason. Inside the house, Mom watched from the doorway, her lips pressed into a line. Then she turned away. No outrage, no defense, just a silent pivot. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just closed the car door. Ashley had done it. I knew it as surely as I knew my own name. And yet, I had no proof. No ally. Only silence. Pack your things, Dad said. We need space from your energy. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I just canceled every card in their wallets. The silence of my apartment felt different now. No longer comforting, but surgical. Like the kind you get before an incision. I sat at the small kitchen table, laptop open, and began typing. Each stroke a small rebellion. 3 years. That's how long I'd been subsidizing their lives. I opened my spreadsheets. Row by row, I traced the receipts. Groceries, tuition, Ashley's medical visits, Dad's car insurance. Not once had they asked me if it was sustainable. Not once had they paused to consider the shape of my own life. The total came to $370,422.18. I stared at that number until it stopped feeling like a figure and started feeling like a verdict. Courtney called. You alone? She asked, voice low. Yes. She admitted it. I didn't reply. She told her boyfriend the whole thing. Bragged, actually. Said it was hilarious watching your face fall apart when they found the necklace. She said you were always the responsible one, so you'd forgive her eventually. My hands tightened around the phone. She planted the damn box. Courtney continued, voice trembling with anger. She laughed while describing it. I didn't cry. I just leaned back, my body oddly still. My thumb hovered over my email app. To Naomi Green. Subject, Family Trust Accounts. Dear Naomi, please confirm I retain sole authority to suspend or terminate any disbursements connected to my personal or joint financial instruments, including auto payments for dependents. Thank you, Jenna Walker. Within the hour, Naomi replied, You are the sole owner, proceeding to deactivate authorizations as instructed. One by one, I shut it down. Ashley's university tuition? Canceled. Dad's monthly car lease? Cut off. Mom's pharmacy auto refills? Redirected to require manual payment. Health insurance copays? Revoked. I notified providers they'd need to enter their own billing info moving forward. They wouldn't feel it all at once. That was the beauty of it. They'd unravel slowly, like silk torn stitch by stitch. Then came the folders. I pulled 3 out of my filing cabinet and labeled them. David Walker, Linda Walker, Ashley Walker. Inside each, printouts of every payment made, receipts, screenshots, bank statements, tax documents. On top, a note in each folder. You never asked me how I could afford it. You just assumed I should. As I packed them into a slim black bag, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Ashley says her uni portal's locked. Did you forget to pay? I stared at the screen for a long moment, then typed, No. I stopped choosing to. I didn't show up at their door to argue. I came to deliver invoices. The sun was beginning to sink behind the eucalyptus trees when I stepped onto the familiar front porch. The house still looked pristine. White shutters, manicured hedges, the same wind chime hanging by the door. But it didn't feel like home anymore. Mom opened the door, hesitant. Her eyes searched my face as if she wasn't sure how to greet me, as a daughter or as a threat. Come in, she said, stepping aside. Dad was already seated in the living room, his arms crossed. There was no sign of Ashley. She's not feeling well, Mom said quickly, too embarrassed to join. I didn't respond. I walked to the coffee table and placed 3 sealed folders in a neat row. What's this? Dad asked, already annoyed. Statements, I said. Proof. Of what? I opened one folder and turned it toward them. Inside, pages upon pages of transaction records, receipts, and summaries. Each one labeled, time-stamped, and sourced. This is everything I've paid for in the last 3 years, I said. Groceries, insurance, medical bills, tuition, phone upgrades, even the necklace. Dad scoffed. You think this proves love? No, I said, meeting his gaze. It proved obligation. Love wasn't part of the deal anymore. He shifted in his seat. Mom reached for one of the folders, flipping through it. Her hands trembled as she passed over a copy of Ashley's emergency dentist bill, the Airbnb for their anniversary trip, and even the Uber rides she claimed not to remember. This is so calculated, Mom murmured. It had to be, I said. You kept forgetting. She closed the folder slowly. You've changed, Jenna. No, I replied. I just stopped pretending. The silence swelled between us, long and tight. I let it breathe. Let them feel it. Dad finally leaned forward. So, what do you want? I want you to understand what it cost me, I said. What you took without asking. And I want this to be the last time you expect a silent bailout. He didn't answer. Mom looked away. I've retained legal counsel, I continued. If Ashley insists on maintaining her lie, we can meet in court. I'm prepared. You're threatening your sister with a lawsuit? No, I said calmly. I'm offering her a choice. As I stood to leave, Mom's voice stopped me. What happened to the Jenna who always helped? Who didn't keep score? She was exhausted, I said, turning back, and no one noticed. I walked out, the folders left open like crime scene evidence. By the time I reached my car, my phone vibrated. A message from Courtney. Ashley just broke down. She admitted everything to her boyfriend. He recorded it. She laughed while describing it, Courtney said. She thought it was a harmless prank. I didn't answer right away. The recording sat between us like a live wire, invisible but humming, hot. My eyes stayed on the phone where her voice waited to betray her. Courtney's hand trembled slightly as she slid it across the table toward me. Her thumb had already cued it up. She said you'd probably cry a little, then get over it, like you always do. I nodded once. Then I pressed play. Ashley's voice filled the quiet co-working space, high, amused, with that particular brightness she wore when trying to impress someone. I didn't even plan it, she said, laughing. It just clicked. Jenna was in the kitchen checking some work email or whatever, and I was like, hey, Why not? Just slipped the box under her seat. Simple. The boy, her boyfriend presumably, sounded unsure. But what if she hadn't found it? What if your dad hadn't— Please, she cut him off. He was practically salivating to catch her doing something. It was perfect. She chuckled. Honestly, the best part was her face, like watching someone's soul fall out through their teeth. Silence. A breath. Then the boy again, this time softer. That's kind of cruel, Ash. There was a pause in the recording. Then her voice again. Lighter, more dismissive. She needed to be shaken. She acts like she's some kind of martyr. Paying for everything doesn't make you better. It just makes you boring. The recording ended. I didn't flinch. Didn't move. Just stared ahead. It was a practiced stillness. Something I'd honed over years of being overlooked but counted on. I returned the phone without a word. Courtney exhaled slowly. I'm sorry, I know it's not— You did the right thing, I said. Thank you for recording it. I wasn't angry. That would have been easier. Anger is quick and hot and burns itself out. This was colder, more surgical. Like something inside me had calcified, and all I could do now was carve out what no longer belonged. Ashley arrived 20 minutes late. She entered like someone unsure of her own limbs. Shoulders hunched, eyes red but dry. She was wearing that pastel pink sweater Mom always said made her look sweet and soft. A costume now. It didn't fit anymore. Hey, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. Courtney stood behind me, silent, arms crossed. I assume you heard it, Ashley murmured, eyes on the table. I did. A long pause. Her hands clutched each other tightly in her lap. She looked up, tried a weak smile. It wasn't what it sounded like. I tilted my head. Then explain it. She blinked. It was a joke, a bad one. I didn't think it'd get out of hand. Number, you didn't think I'd stop funding your life, I said. You gambled I'd fold like always. Ashley looked like she'd been slapped. That's not fair. Neither is planting stolen property in someone's car. Courtney snapped. Ashley's gaze flicked to her and then back to me, pleading. I wanted to prove a point. What point? I asked. Her mouth opened, but no words came. I leaned forward. You wanted me humiliated. That's the only point this served. She let out a shaky breath. I don't know. Maybe I was jealous. Maybe I thought you were judging me all the time and I wanted to level the field. You burned the field, I said flatly. And you expected me to plant your next harvest anyway. Tears welled in her eyes, but none fell. I'm sorry. No, you're cornered, I said. That's different. Another pause. Can we not make this public? She whispered. Please? I didn't move. My voice stayed even. Then don't give me a reason. She nodded once, then looked away. We left her there. Outside, the October wind whipped against my face as Courtney and I walked toward the car. It smelled like eucalyptus and cold pavement, the kind of air that makes you feel something's ending, and something else is beginning. You okay? Courtney asked. I think so. I didn't say anything else until we reached my place. She hugged me tight before driving off. The next morning, I opened my mailbox and froze. Sitting inside was a sealed envelope. No return address. Just my name in curling script I recognized instantly. Ashley. For once, they asked if I was okay, not what I could pay. It was a quiet November morning, the kind where everything felt muted. Sky pale, sidewalks empty, cafes only half awake. I chose a corner table by the window. The leaves had mostly fallen, but a few stubborn ones clung to the branches outside like they still hadn't accepted the season had changed. Linda arrived 10 minutes late. That was her way. Never rude enough to be called out, never early enough to seem eager. She wore a soft gray coat and clutched her purse like it might run away. Her eyes scanned the cafe, looking for me, but not like someone seeking comfort. More like someone searching for a mirror and hoping not to see themselves. Jenna, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. I nodded. Mom. The silence between us wasn't heavy. It was structured, like a contract with invisible clauses. Don't mention Ashley, don't apologize too soon, don't pretend nothing happened. I ordered tea for you, I said. Chamomile. Her lips twitched into something that might have been a smile. You always remember what people like. That's how I was raised, I said flatly. She looked down. I suppose things have gotten complicated. I didn't reply. I let the silence fill the space again until she couldn't bear it. She's struggling, she said. Ashley, since the university? I know, but I'm not her backup plan anymore. Her shoulders sank just a little. I'm not here to rehash what she did, I continued. I'm here to set terms. She blinked. You said you needed help with your prescription refills, I said. I'll cover that. Directly through the pharmacy. Not through your account. Not through Dad. That's the line. She nodded. Slow, tentative. Thank you. I'm not doing it for gratitude. Just clarity. Her hands wrapped around the mug I'd pushed toward her. She wrote something, Linda said, almost like she was asking permission. For you. I brought it. From her coat, she pulled a sealed envelope. My name in Ashley's handwriting. I took it, but didn't open it. She didn't want to call, Linda added. Said she didn't earn that yet. She didn't. We sat for another few minutes. No talk of the past. No dissecting emotions. It wasn't reconciliation. It was recognition. A slow, quiet acknowledgement that what had been would never be again. That we could only move forward, if at all, on new ground. Later that evening, Dad invited me to dinner. Ashley wouldn't be there, he said. She was staying with a friend. I hesitated before agreeing. But something about the way he said my name, tentative, unsure, felt like a thread I wasn't ready to cut. The house looked the same. Same porch light, same creaky step, same faint smell of lemon furniture polish. Dinner was pasta. Quiet. There was no speech, no grand apology, just moments. Like when Dad passed me the bread and said, "How's work?" and really meant it. Or when he didn't flinch as I mentioned taking a course in personal investment. Naomi's email had come through earlier that week. Confirmation I was enrolled, with a scholarship based on previous financial contributions to dependent parties. Irony had a wicked sense of humor. After dinner, I opened Ashley's letter in my old room. The sheet still smelled like lavender and borrowed peace. Jenna, I don't ask for forgiveness. I'm not owed that. I've been trying to sit with myself lately, without music, without distractions. It's harder than I thought. I've been reckless, entitled. And worst of all, I used your silence as proof you didn't care. I'm learning now what it means to live without a rescue plan. I hope someday we can speak. But if not, I'll still be reading this letter back to myself until I understand all of it. Ashley. I didn't cry. There was nothing left to leak out. Instead, I folded the letter, slid it back into the envelope, and tucked it inside a drawer. Not to revisit, but to remember. That night, I sat at my desk and opened the investment course portal. The final assignment had been waiting for days. I skimmed through the modules one last time. Risk tolerance, diversification, future planning. Then I clicked Submit on my final portfolio. This time, it's for me. She never raised her voice. She didn't need to. In the end, Jenna let numbers do the talking. Each receipt, each payment, each cold transaction forming the silent testimony of years spent being taken for granted. She didn't slam doors or scream accusations. She simply stepped away and let the weight of truth fill the space she left behind. For too long, her silence had been mistaken for consent. Her generosity interpreted as duty. Her presence treated like a footnote in someone else's story. But the day she walked away from that dining table, no longer the invisible provider, no longer the backup plan, was the day she redrew the line. Not in anger, but in absolute clarity. The reckoning wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It unfolded with emails, spreadsheets, and a sealed folder titled, Your Real Daughter's Contribution. There were no outbursts, only shifting gazes and the sound of denial collapsing under proof. Jenna didn't just cut ties. She rewrote the contract. Sometimes justice doesn't come with applause. It arrives quietly, dressed in dignity. And when it doesn't ask for permission. It claims the space it was always owed. Because in every story of betrayal, there's a turning point where the person pushed aside chooses not to break, but to rise. Jenna rose not by becoming cruel, but by becoming conscious. She didn't retaliate to destroy. She responded to reclaim. Like the final chord of a long-forgotten melody, justice may arrive late, but it resonates long after the silence. No wall of lies can stand forever against the tide of truth. Perhaps standing up today means you'll never again have to bow to injustice tomorrow. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment with a 1 if you've ever felt invisible and are ready to draw the line.